Okay, so something I've been thinking about for the past week or so about doing on the channel is starting a new kind of series where it's like I've got my car talk slash room talk videos, and then whenever I finish a new thing, like whether it's a movie, a game, a book, a show, etc., I give my thoughts on, like, this is what I thought of the motherfucker, blah, blah, blah. One thing I've kind of been thinking about for a while, though, is I want to start watching a show, and then instead of just like what I did with Monogatari or Witch from Mercury, where I do a review of it after I've seen it, and then on my Thursday videos, just being like, this is kind of where I'm at right now, this is my vibe from it, do an episode-by-episode kind of breakdown. Or not necessarily a breakdown, it's like, this is my thoughts having seen episode 1, this is my thoughts having seen episode 2. Maybe not necessarily after every single episode, sometimes it might be a group of episodes. Like, if I was like, I can't put this shit down, I gotta watch 5 in a row, because I have the time now. But, like, if I do something like that, like, okay, I just watched the last 5 episodes of whatever I watched, this is what I thought of them, this one happened, this happened, etc., etc. I think that's something that could be really fun. My brain stopped for a second. So, take a shot. That's a classic thing to happen on my fucking channel. But, I think it'd be a really fun thing to do. I know I did it when I watched Lane. When I was making these, like, more podcast-style, really long videos. Every time I finished an episode of Lane, like, as I was watching episodes, I would take notes. And then I gave my thoughts on them. And I don't actually remember if I finished uploading all of them. If I didn't and you watched those, I'm really, really sorry. But it's something I'm really interested in doing. So there were 2 shows, automatically, that kind of came to mind. Number 1 was Witch from Mercury, because I haven't seen Season 2 yet, and I was waiting for Season 2 to finish airing so that I could binge it, and as far as I am aware, it has finished airing so I can binge it. The other show I was thinking about was Friendship is Magic. I watched it. I can't 100% say as it was coming out, because Season 1 was already out when I was watching it. And then with some of the later seasons, I'd kind of fallen off of it, so I just kind of binged them to catch up so I could watch the finale when it came out. Oh, excuse me. But it just showed, like, I really like... I remember seeing a tweet a few days ago, and it was talking about just, like, television and how you know something is peak television when it's like 200 episodes long. You can unironically say it's one of your favorites of all time, it's one of the best shows you've ever seen, and like you also know in your heart of hearts, and you will not argue with this or deny it at all, that 40 of its episodes are some of the worst shit you've ever seen in your life. I remember looking at that, I was like, yeah, that's Friendship is Magic. But I would actually really like to rewatch it and think, and just kind of evaluate, how well does the show hold up? Who is best pony? Like, what is actually, like, my tier list of episodes? Oh god, would I have to do a tier list with all, like, 222 episodes? Probably, and then I'd probably have to do the movie. I don't want to watch the movie again. I remember being really excited for it. I didn't have a car at that time, so I bought my friend a ticket to the movie with me so he would drive me, and I was like, man, this is 8-inch. Like, I really didn't like it. But, like, I would have to do that. I'd probably have to watch the Equestria Girl movies. I wouldn't have to read the comics. I wouldn't have to do the shorts. But anyways. Friendship is Magic was the other thing I was like, I really want to do this. No, I probably wouldn't just watch all 222 episodes. I'd be like, alright, let me do Season 1. Probably take a break, do another project. Then Season 2, maybe Season 3, right? Etc., etc. Kind of depending on the vibe, if I want to take a break after every season, or if I want to do something else. So with those 2 in mind, of Friendship is Magic and Witch from Mercury, as you can tell from the title of this video, instead I watched the first episode of Symphogear. So I'm not even... I think the way I found out about this show was I was on Big Bad Toy Store, which is where I go get figures, and I saw a character from the show, and I was like, oh, this looks kind of cute. Like, what is this? And so, after I did that, like, I went on a TV trip. Like, that's usually how I figure out, like, what something is. Like, alright, explain this to me in a way that makes it sound cool. And as I was reading it, something I read was, the scene that you show people to get them to watch this series is the first scene from season 3. So I was like, okay, that's probably going to be super spoilery, but if that's the thing that'll convince me to watch this show, let me watch it. So, from what I remember, because I was watching someone react to it, so it was kind of like, here be a bit of it, and then it would get cut to just the guys talking, and then go back to the episode. So it was a bit splicey. But, splicey, that was a weird way of saying that. Anyways, point, what I remember was there was a bunch of girls who, like, were magical girls that had kind of, like, become mechs. And they were surfing on, I don't know if they were all on, like, one giant rocket or on several rockets, but they were surfing on, like, rockets and missiles. And at one point, they were headed towards a mountain, like, oh shit, there's a mountain in the way. We have to, like, move the rockets. And then someone else said, no, we're not going to move the rockets. So she just fired a bunch of missiles out of her body and blew up the mountain so they could keep going without blowing up the rockets. Like, okay, so it's a magical girl mech show that runs on the same logic as Gurren Lagann. So I have to watch this starting today. It sounds immaculate. This sounds impeccable. Let's go. So I threw on the first episode a little bit ago, and then I read a chapter of Mistborn after, because I need to make sure I keep reading Mistborn. And I needed to let my phone charge before I recorded. But now here I get to talk about this first episode. And let me say, this might be one of the best first episodes I've, like, seen of anything in a while, which is a pretty low bar because I just haven't watched a whole lot of shows lately. I'm kind of sorry to say. But this had a very good first impression. It starts with the funeral of the main character. It's like, there's not a whole lot of shit I know, but I think it's Hibiki is the main character. So I'm like, oh, okay, it's starting with her funeral. So either the series is going to end with her dying, or like, this is a fake death. It's probably going to be a fake death, but we'll see how that goes. So we get that, and then it's 2 years earlier start of the thing. I'm like, okay, that's not a trope I love, if I'm being honest. Like, here's the cool shit. Don't worry, we'll get to it, but here's all the setup. Like, I get it. You want to show me something cool and then build up to it. But maybe it's just because I don't like being spoiled. Maybe it's because it feels a little bit tacky to me. I just don't love that trope. But what ends up happening pretty quickly, like within the first 12 minutes of the episode, Hibiki goes to an idol concert. The idols put on a performance, and it's a pretty nice performance. I did enjoy it. I will say overall, I liked the music in this episode quite a bit, both the background music and the actual performances. Then the concert gets interrupted by a bunch of, like, translucent aliens called The Noise. Which I can't lie, I kind of love, with the idea of, like, okay, this is a show all about music and the power of music, because they literally transform into magical girls by singing, and the way they use their powers is through song. I'm like, okay, is this show like a musical? Because I love musicals, this is fantastic, I'm already on board. And the fact that it's like, oh yeah, like, music is awesome, but the noise is the problem. Like, I don't know, that just kind of does it for me. But when the Noise attack, you see them, like, touching people. Okay, I don't like the way I put that. But it's like, anytime it looks like they touch a human being, that person just disintegrates. So very quickly, you understand this is a threat. And this show is going to have a body count. I don't know if it's going to be one of those shows where, if you're a random civilian, if you're a background character, your days are numbered, but main characters have plot armor, or if it's the kind of show where it's like, no. It doesn't matter if you're a background character, it doesn't matter if you're a main character. When your number's up, and people are going to die. But you get, like, one of the performers turns into a magical girl, she starts kicking ass, she's singing as she's kicking ass. Hibiki is she's in the crowd. She ends up getting badly injured, and the idol girl, I think her name was it Kaede? Kanade? I think it was Kanade. She essentially uses, like, also, anytime she's using, like, a super move, it cuts to, if you've played Persona 5, whenever you do an all-out attack, you get, like, these really cool splash screens with, like, this nice art, and then just kind of, like, a phrase that's just some shit talking. It's basically that. You get, like, a fucking, like, comic book splash page with just the name of the attack. I'm like, okay, this show's gonna be stylish as fuck. Maybe not, like, Monogatari levels, but almost in a different way. Like, okay, again, I'm kind of on board with this. So, Kanade just sees all these fucking, I'm gonna call them aliens, the noise. I don't know if that's exactly what they are, but probably. She sees all these aliens. She's like, well, it looks like I've got a big crowd for this song, or like for this performance. I'm gonna give them something to remember me by. I'm gonna give them a big epic performance. So she's like belting her guts out as she's, you know, fucking up these aliens. And then afterwards you see her disintegrate and she fucking dies. Like, oh, okay. So, magical girls are definitely not invincible in this. They can die. Again, I don't know if it's going to be like full Madoka Maguka, but we'll see how it goes. There's a scene later where her partner Tsubasa is now, I guess, like the main magical girl in charge, I guess. And you see her breakdancing. Like, she literally just starts spinning and just starts, like, slicing aliens apart with her legs. I'm like, this is fun. Like, this is just... I don't remember what it was recently. That there was something I watched or played, and I remember saying, like, this just feels like unbridled creativity, and I love it. Symphogear is not to that level. It's only been one episode, but it just feels like they were allowed to be creative. They were allowed to just throw what they wanted out there and have dumb, cool shit. And so far, it's cool. But there's also, again, some kind of interesting shit. Not long after that, Hibiki's gonna go buy an album. And then by the time she gets there, she just sees the remains of several people because the noise are in the area. She ends up finding a little girl, takes the little girl, tries to get them both to safety, but then ends up getting ambushed by a group of noise. Then she starts singing, activates her own magical girl transformation, which kind of goes raw as fuck. Like, she's hunched over at some point. So let me do that. Because I think you can see, like, she's hunched over. And then there's all these, like, mechanical bits just, like, popping out of her back. And they all go back into her, and then they come out again. You see, like, her heart beating, and then her heart turns purple. And then these, like, purple threads, almost like the freaking symbiote from Spider-Man, just starts latching onto, like, all the synapses and the blood vessels in her body. And then her teeth just start growing, like there are these fangs, and then the episode ends with her, like, in shadow, with this maniacal grin on her face, showing that she's about to kick ass. So what did I get from this episode? I got genuinely good music. I got a really cool transformation sequence. I got some cool, fun fights. This show, like I said, is going to have a body count. We've already, I mean, I can't say Kanade was a main character. She died halfway into the first episode. I think there's 5 seasons, 13 episodes apiece, so if my math's right, that's 65 episodes. Like, this is clearly not a main character. But it might be the kind of thing that sets the tone that, like, yes, people who seem like they are going to be important aren't always going to make it. I thought the music was good. I think the idea of its magical girls and the way they transform and fight is through music. I love music. I'm not a music nerd. I will say that. Like, I am not someone who can explain music theory. I know all about, like, melodies and harmonies and shit. I'm like, no, I like a good bop. I like a nice vocal performance. I like good instrumentation. I can't really explain why a song is good. I just think sometimes they're good. I thought the music was good. I thought the singing was good. And, like, yeah, it's about the power of music. That sounds really, really fun. I'm looking forward to the rest of this. Excuse me, I don't know if I'll watch episode 2 today, if I'll do it sometime tomorrow, but we'll see, and I'll keep everyone posted.